I'm Bailey and welcome to my channel where we discuss all the tips and tricks necessary for you to live a life of adventure. As you can see, we're out here in beautiful Alaska spring, and so I thought it would be a good day to go ahead and talk about layers. So rather than tell you you should buy this piece of clothing or that piece of clothing, we're going to be talking about layering mechanics. That way you can buy the best layers and the best clothing items for you and your hike and where you are hiking. Because really it does make a pretty big difference on if you're hiking in the desert in the middle of the summer or here in Alaska in the spring. And so it'll kind of dictate what sorts of things you're going to bring with you on your hike. So there are three major layers that we're going to talk about today. There is some variation on what kind of items you can bring, as well as some different accessories, of course, like gloves. So our first layer that we're going to talk about is going to be your base layer. So this is a layer that should be next to your skin. This does include underwear and bras for you ladies. So you want to make sure that you're picking a layer that is going to wick your moisture away from your body. The reason this is so important is because of days like today, where it's pretty nice weather compared to what it has been here, and so it's easy to work up a sweat and you're walking uphill. Now of course, if you got stuck out here, you're spending on camping overnight, anything like that, as soon as you stop moving, all of that sweat gets really cold and can bring your body temperature down quite a bit, which is why you want to pick a base layer that's going to wick that moisture away, because it's going to take all that sweat from your body and it's going to evaporate quickly. So for example, I kind of made the mistake and let myself get sweaty walking uphill earlier, and fortunately, because I have a pretty decent base layer on, I really didn't get as cold as I could have. A lot of it has already dried on its own. So, there's different materials like synthetic and poly and all sorts of things. Really, if you want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of all those things, there's not a huge difference. So it's just going to be kind of personal preference and smell and that kind of thing. I also do want to say that, of course, this base layer is going to look a little bit different depending on where you're hiking and when. So for example, today, because I'm out here in the snow, my base layer is consisting of a long john type long sleeve shirt and yoga pants, long john pant, legging type things. I don't know how else to describe those. Whereas during the summer when I'm hiking, my base layer would be more like running shorts and an athletic top. That of course is going to wick moisture. If you're hiking in the desert, then you might want to wear, long, zip off type pants and a sun UV type shirt that's going to use that moisture to help cool you down. There's lots of different options. Now the middle layer is going to be your warmth layer. So this could be a couple different things. I personally am a big fan of fleeces, but that's just a personal preference. I like them because they tend to wick moisture a little bit better and not have to deal with wet as much as a puffy. So a puffy would be your other option. So personally, my fleece is nothing fancy. It's one that I bought at the thrift store a couple years ago, and I've taken it on all three of my hikes. You'll see a lot of people, especially thru-hikers, will use the Melly hoodies, and people are a big fan of those. There's tons of different types of middle warmth layers out there, and honestly, I'll pair mine up. I usually bring my fleece and my puffy on most hikes and most backpacking trips. That way I wear my fleece when I'm hiking just because I tend to not sweat as much and it doesn't trap all that sweat as much, and then I use my puffy when I'm sitting down or taking a break or early in the mornings and that kind of thing. I will say, if you do have a puffy, which just is going to depend on where you're hiking, I would really recommend considering one with a hoodie, because by having a puffy with a hoodie, I don't usually bring a beanie or any sort of hat. I just use my hoodie on my puffy paired with my buff that also has a lot of other functions, like a mask, as a neck gaiter to keep my hair from flying away, all sorts of things. So I usually, instead of using a hat, just pair my hoodie with my buff. Now your last layer is going to be super ultra important, and that is going to be your wind and water layer, or your shell layer. So as you can see, I'm sitting here, I'm wearing a rain jacket and rain pants with some winter hiking gaiters. And so I really make sure when I buy these that I'm not only getting something that's going to keep the rain off me, but also keep the wind from just tearing right through my inner middle and base layers. So if you've ever been outside without a wind jacket on when it's been really freezing cold, then you know that no matter what you're wearing, the wind just tears right through that and cools you down really fast. So it's really important to make sure that you have something that's windproof, especially if you're hiking in the Rockies and stuff. And then of course also waterproof, so that way you don't get wet from all the snow or rain or what have you. It just is going to keep you that much more comfortable. And again, I'm not going to bring winter snow gaiters on a summer thru hike but I might bring like dirty girl gaiters. So, and of course there's a couple accessories you should think of bringing. So, you know, wool socks are like the go-to. I use Darn Tough socks, but there's different ones out there. And then some sort of glove layer. So I've tried a couple different gloves over the years and just have found that the waterproof gloves don't seem to work very well. They're either not waterproof or don't keep my hands warm or whatever. So what I've switched to is use like just warm gloves and don't worry about them being waterproof, and then use a waterproof like shell mitt. And that just seems to be a better system for me. But again, find what works best for you. So those are kind of the accessories to think of. So overall, those are the three main things you want to think of when you are layering for your next outdoor adventure, be it backpacking trip, through hike, regular day hike, and even anything else. Skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, what have you. Those work in lots of different outdoor scenarios. So sometime in the future here, I will talk about my specific clothing that I'm using coming up on my next through hike this summer, but we'll get to that in a different post. So I would love to hear what your favorite layer is, so be sure to let me know down in the comments. And then of course, if you are interested in getting more tips and tricks all about hiking and backpacking, then I would highly suggest subscribing to my channel. Now, if you are planning for your first through hike and you are, researching layers and stuff, then I would highly suggest also checking out my most recent video on some of my favorite luxury items. This will definitely help you in the packing process, kind of think about some different things that you want to bring in your pack. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy trails.